Hi, everybody. Thanks for being with us. This is definitely a new way of doing things, which is kind of what everything in our educational world is now, is new and different. But I also think this is going to be super fun. It's a different way of connecting with everybody and sharing some new music and some smiles along the way. So today we're going to be presenting to you some of the Belwin catalog, and there are so many great pieces. It's really kind of hard to narrow them down, but we've kind of picked a nice overview of them. And our plan is generally to give you an introduction of the piece, couple of educational highlights, and then we're going to follow along with the score. And that PDF download is really helpful if you want to watch the video to follow along, or if you want to click the PDF link to actually click your way through the score, you could do that as well. Getting us started is going to be Mike Kamuf.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Thanks, Chris. And the first selection today is an original composition of mine that is kind of tried and true. I did it, performed it with my sixth graders this last year at Baker Middle School in Damascus, where I've been teaching for 25 years. And it's a great grade 1 composition, great for teaching phrasing as well as balance, and also staccato versus marcato articulations as well. Uses the first octave. It's written in B flat. Two contrasting themes. We hope you enjoy this. This is entitled Great Beginnings.
And there you have it. That is a great beginning. I really like that one a lot. Mike did a great job with that one. Our next one is called Residence of the Lords by Victor López. And you might not know this about me, but I was I was a director for 28 years before working now here for Alfred. And Victor López was one of those names that just a musical giant who I just always loved his music. And it's just been great to work with him. And this particular piece is a grade 1. It's in 3/4, which I always find fun to teach new kids, young kids, and high school kids, believe it or not. And it's in G minor. It's got a really dark sound. It's very dramatic. It's got a great hook to it. There's one section I wrote myself a note. In the first ending, it's a ba-dum-bum-bum, da-dum-dum-dum. And I really like when there's hooks like that in the music that just kind of, when the kids walk out of the band room, that piece of the music stays with them. There's a lot of great percussion writing in this one as well. So here is Residence of the Lords by Victor López.
That's a great teaching piece for 3/4 time, and it features the percussion section. Great piece by Victor López. Our next composition is an Irish folk tune arranged by Patrick Roszell. Patrick is a great contributor to the Belwin catalog and is a wonderful educator in Alabama. This is a part of our Belwin beginning band series, the Red Cover series, and it's the Irish folk tune Down by the Salley Gardens. It's pitched in B flat major. It has a great beginning and ending section that's kind of like a variation of the tune itself. It's a great piece for teaching lyrical style phrasing and balance and dynamics, and you can even get beyond it and start teaching shaping of phrases. So this is a great arrangement by Patrick Roszell of the Irish folk tune Down by the Salley Gardens.
I mentioned in the chat there that that one just was really so beautiful, a great opportunity for lyrical playing, but everybody's a really terrific part in it. Before we get to our next, we're going to take part of our first poll. So our first poll question is, do you know where you will be teaching this fall? Teaching in the classroom, teaching remotely? Will you be teaching both in the classroom and remotely, or you're not? It is kind of crazy how things are changing day for professional development or planning. What's going to be happening? I'm here in New Jersey, and I think that as September approaches, I think our plans are changing on a pretty much hourly basis. So while we are working on this, I will let you in on a not so secret, but in an effort to help address what kids and teachers are going to be dealing with in our near and distant future, we have developed a brand new flexible instrumentation series throughout all of our catalogs, both Belwin and Alfred Concert Band. And here's the secret. All of today's pieces that we're reviewing are going to become available in either a 4-part or 5-part flex version that you'll be able to find to students in any combination that'll suit the needs of whatever your situation is. So we're going to have a future webinar on that topic, and I'm going to actually demonstrate how those work and give you a lot more detail on those. But that's something you can look forward to with this session. But also, with the upcoming session we have planned for Alfred Concert Band, which is going to be taking place on August 12th. The registration for that event will show up in the chat window, so if you are enjoying any part of this and want to invite other friends along and listen to the Alfred Band offerings, you can register for that session as well. So going on to our, you can keep filling out that poll, by the way, while I continue. Our next section is called Christmas Holiday March by Mike Story. Mike is just so creative with everything that he does, and I really enjoy what he's doing with every one of the pieces that he does. To me, it's always amazing how he could take a tune like this one, Christmas Holiday March, which is on green sleeves, and come up with some creative way to do something new with something old. So this one is a grade 1 setting. It's got very fresh harmonies, and that's really neat too. With this ancient sounding tune, it's got something fresh with it. And I particularly like measure 2. So when you listen to measure 2, there's harmonic content there that I really think is neat. Very creative approach. Throughout this piece, the melody does get passed around to the different members of the ensemble, and the true test of a great arrangement is in the transitions, because the melody is the melody, but the transitions, connecting those of them together, is really where some of the magic happens. And in this one, measure 32 to 36 was one of those places that I just smiled when I listened to it and really enjoyed it. So here is Mike Story's setting of green sleeves called Christmas Holiday March.
What a cool creative approach to green sleeves. Grade 1, Mike Story. That's a great arrangement. The next composition that's up is an original of mine, and it's an original in G minor. It's entitled Derivations. And you know, when I write, especially for the green cover, the grade 2 series, I'm thinking about my my upper level students and what they're going to be able to sink their teeth into and sound good on and performing. And we actually did perform this in February, and we were slated to perform it just about a week after we shut down at our local music assessment. That didn't happen. But the students really enjoyed playing this piece. It has two contrasting themes. The first one's in 4/4, and the B theme is in 3/4, and it gets developed. And it's a great piece for teaching balance and dynamics and style. And we also have themes getting passed around the ensemble, which is something that I try to do quite a bit in my writing. We hope you enjoyed this. This is entitled Derivations.
I kind of like how we're starting to chat a little bit like a real reading session. One of the things I love about live reading sessions is when you're in between pieces and everybody starts talking and asking questions of each other, like, hey, how's that clarinet part, or whatever it is. And that kind of interaction, it's nice to see that happening in the chat, so keep that going. But that was a great piece. I love that one. I was literally like just bopping along, and I think that's what kids would do. At the very end, though, Mike, there was kind of a little bit of a and down at the end. So you may want to think about how you put that out.
Don't start with that. Don't start. Come on with that.
That's a compliment. I like that. So this next piece by Mike Story, I've got all the Mike Story ones today because he's got so many good ones. But it took me a while to figure out how to pronounce this one. I looked at it and I was Astronomica, Astronomica, a harmonica,
AstraZeneca?
Astronomica. And Mike is great with titles and great with music. This one is based on I think it's 5 poems that are about the stars. It's a very dramatic opening. It's got a lot of great harmonic content. And if you look at Mike's program notes on this one, you'll see that he does tell the story about where the inspiration of the piece comes from. And it's another part that I like about this piece is it might actually pull kids to go and look at something else online and maybe get some historical reference for the music and tie in some other kind of curriculum to this. This particular piece also, to me, is a great way of teaching what I like to call mukma, melody, counter melody, and accompaniment. I like to teach students about what their role is and how they play that role in the ensemble. You either have the melody, you have the counter melody, or you have the accompaniment, and you can very clearly teach them how to balance and work with musicians together. And this piece has that very clearly throughout. Some easy syncopation happens throughout here. It's a grade 2. There are contrasting styles, and there's complete full engagement throughout the piece. So here is Astronomica by Mike Story.
That's a great piece for young bands to sink their teeth into and create a musical performance. Great piece by Mike Story. It's time for another poll that we want to ask all of our participants about. And we're wondering, are you planning on using flexible instrumentation publications with your ensembles this fall as we get started? So there's 3 options for your answers. If you head to the poll option there on the menu. First answer is yes. Second answer is no. I'll be using traditional instrumentation only. And third choice is I'll be using both traditional and flexible instrumentation. I think my situation, as I alluded to earlier, is I'm a middle school band and orchestra director in Maryland, John T. Baker Middle School in Damascus. And we're part of Montgomery County Public Schools just outside of D.C. And we've already switched to online for the entire first semester. So my planning has kind of shifted a bit, and I have been seriously considering all these different options. And I think for our older groups where the instrumentation is a little bit more solidified, we'll be trying performance pieces and trying to do maybe some virtual performances. But for our younger musicians, we're going to definitely be employing some flex instrumentation selections, because we have not had a chance to change kids over to color instruments. They just come to us basically at flute, clarinet, saxophone, trumpet, trombone, not a lot of color instruments. So we'll definitely be trying to put things together until we're able to actually be with them and to do the work with them in person. So that's my take on the situation and how we're going to be dealing with it at my school. Our next performance piece is another Patrick Roszell one. Again, Patrick, great educator in Alabama. This next piece, Shine Bright, is I'm going to definitely be doing this one with my students. This is a great piece, and if we're ever to the point where, well, whenever we're to the point, I should say, where we're back to performing music live and with students, this piece would make not only a great opener, but it would also make a great festival selection down the line. After a short intro, it goes into just a driving groove type piece. This is, again, actually, let me back up a little bit. This is part of our Belwin Young Band series at grade 2.5. The B theme in this has a clarinet solo and a brief alto saxophone solo. There's a wonderful sustained section at 49 that when I listened to this, the times I listened to it, the section at 49 just hits me as being really, really impactful in the placement of it and just how it's performed and how it's conceived. So I love that passage. Throughout the piece, the tempo increases and the themes come together at the end. It's just a beautiful composition by Patrick Roszell, and this is definitely worthy of study by you and your students. So here is Shine Bright by Patrick Roszell.
That is a great one. It's got a lot of, like Mike said, it's got a lot of good groove to it. A couple of great comments about that one, about the clarinet solo. It's a little bit tricky, so you're definitely going to need it. It's great motivation for a student. And so for some of the higher trumpet parts, that does go up to the A, which as a trumpet player, I probably would have gone for that also. But there are alternate notes available for those upper notes. So you'll see those on the score at a smaller note head size in there. So those are kind of thought through for that. But great comments, great questions, and that's exactly what would be asked if we were sitting in a room together, which hopefully we will be doing again fairly soon. All right, our next one, this is going to surprise you. It's a Mike story arrangement, right? Okay, so Danger Zone. We all know Danger Zone. It's time that we bring the kids into our world with a little bit of Danger Zone, as arranged by Mike Story. It's so much fun, and even if they don't know the movie Top Gun, we haven't educated them on that yet, they'll love the piece. It's very catchy. It's got a great groove to it. Mike has a great way of taking music and making this as a grade 2 level and making it appropriate for the grade level, but still making it truly representative of what the original is. And it's another great skill of a great arranger. What else did I write about this? It's very accessible and true. The drum set part is awesome, but I think it would be even more awesome split up to all the different players, and those kids would have a really great time with the percussion parts. And the melody does make its way around the different instruments in the ensemble and does give a comfortable ranges for everybody. And I do see a question about Top Gun. I do believe Top Gun 2 is going to be coming soon. Or is it? I don't know. But I believe Top Gun 2 is coming soon. So here is Danger Zone.
All of Mike's Story's writing for young musicians is absolutely spot on with the orchestration and the technical demands, and that just goes to show you what a great writer he is, and how he's taken that great tune and made it accessible for young musicians. And all I could think of during that whole time was the Grace and Frankie episode with Kenny Loggins in it, and some of you may know what I'm talking about there. I see some comments in the chat about percussion and how to do that. I'm always, for me personally, I'm always for employing more kids. I'd rather have more kids being employed. If you have the gear to do a multiple drum set thing, like what somebody had commented, that's a great idea. Just be aware of balance at that point. If you're doing that and doubling the part, or if you're assigning different sections, that's probably the better way to do it. Maybe have them just play a little small section at the end. But that's, the more we can involve the percussion and these type pieces, any of the music, but especially these pop type pieces, to get everybody playing, it's going to translate to happier students and more engaged students. So good conversation in the chat. So our next tune, again, like Chris said, these are all going to be flex band options, the series that we're going to be rolling out here in the coming weeks. And we're going to, this next one is from the musical Hamilton, and it's masterfully arranged by Doug Wagner, another incredible orchestrator with everything he does, whether it's a band, orchestra, or choral. It just an incredible musician, and has a wonderful handle on how to orchestrate for young musicians. And this tune is "You'll Be Back" from Hamilton. This is a great opportunity to teach the light swing style, where we're just that triplet subdivision basically happening for the band. This is also great to reinforce legato articulation with your students. Sometimes, oftentimes, I hear concert bands play something in a swing style and the wrong articulations being used. So this is a great opportunity to make sure that we're reinforcing legato articulations of the swing style. And again, this is just a solid orchestration all the way around, and themes and ideas get passed around the ensemble too. So we hope you enjoy "You'll Be Back" from Hamilton.
That is such a great one, and I said it in the chat, but that's probably going to be stuck in your head for the rest of the day. I don't apologize for that. And the title is appropriate too. You'll be back. We do have time, actually, if you do have any questions. So while I talk for just a couple seconds here, if you do have any questions for Mike or for myself, we will be glad to entertain those. So go ahead and fill up the chat with all those questions you've been dying to ask us. But I do want to mention, you will be back. You'll be back interacting with students in some form, some fashion. If you're not already, you're going to be doing that very soon. And something to keep in mind is that interaction with those students is more important now than it ever was. So make sure that you are staying engaged in their life, even if it's at their home remotely, but still make sure that you stay connected to them, because I mentioned this in a conversation we were having the other night. Your voice might be the most positive one that they hear their entire day, and your smile and your caring about them might be the thing that helps them get through this whole situation. And just a last little thing about the Flex series, when we do the webinar about that, you're going to be able to see these pieces and all the ones that we listened to today. You're going to be able to use them in any way that you need. 5 of all the same instruments, any mixture of the instruments, wind instruments, string instruments, percussion instruments. They're organized by transposition, so you can mix and match how they work. They include supplemental parts for tenor saxophone and for any of the missing parts, like the F instrument parts for part 1 and 2 might not be on the score, but they're going to be included as a supplemental part. So if you have 4 French horns and you want to do a 4-part, you've got parts for them. So we tried to think about every way that you might be able to use these things and then make them range appropriate and accessible. Mike, did you have any wrap-up things before we look at questions?
Well, yeah, actually, what you're talking about the Flex series, I really enjoyed taking my compositions and putting them in the Flex series. And the cool thing about what happened when Alfred asked you to spearhead this is that we all worked in tandem with one another, and it was a collaborative process. And as we all thought of things, we all chimed in. So a lot of different resources all coming together, a lot of different levels of experience and different writers all working together for one end goal. And I think I'm excited about the series, and I'm glad that we were able to offer that for educators. So it's going to be a great resource.
I agree with you. And the thing about that Flex series and the thing about being teachers is that we always learn. And for me personally, that was a great learning opportunity. Okay, this is a great idea.
Right.
Then how do we make this work? And knowing that you have a great group around you to help kind of navigate some of those challenges has been really an exciting part of that. And out of most challenges, usually great things come out of it, even though it was tough at the start. And at the other side of this whole situation, we're going to come out with a lot of stronger teachers, stronger students, better resources, and like you said, us all helping each other out and lifting each other up.
Mm-hmm. We have a question in the chat there from Mike Kelly from Ohio. Do either of you or Alfred offer arranging for band, like a course or professional development? Alfred doesn't, but I mean that would kind of be the thing. You could reach out to different writers, Michael. And they, I think depending on people's schedules or whatever or comfort level, I think that would be appropriate. I can give you some emails if you. I'll put my email in the chat, and if you want to email me, would that be appropriate to do? Okay.
Totally.
All right. So.
Yeah, that's the other thing that's interesting with the time, or it's a good thing of the time that we're living in, outside of the health of our nation, is that we are all in touch. So feel free to get in touch with me or Mike or anybody else that's on the teaching side or the publishing side of the industry, because we are all in connection with each other. So I'll put my email. My email address is cbernotas, easy to spell, BERNOTAS @alfred.com, and we are accessible. So questions about arranging or just thoughts, we get a lot of emails from students and from teachers, but we are really in this whole thing for the right reasons, because we want to help teachers be the best teachers they can be and provide resources for students that will help them connect with music in the best, most appropriate way for them, because we all know that music is a lifelong love, and it's not just something we do. It's not a hobby. It's kind of part of who we are. So please feel free to get in touch with any one of us, and we'll be glad to help in whatever way is possible.
Do you have any suggestions on engaging and creating a creative way to introduce concert lit from a 100% remote setting. Wow. That's something that I think we're all going to be in together and just trying to make this happen. That's a good question, Matthew. I think we're all going to have to start thinking out of the box and trying to do these virtual performances and learn the software to do it and try to keep the kids engaged that way. It's a whole process. I've done a couple of those performances this year myself, and that's a whole learning process on how to do that on the performer end. So I would suggest, if you're going to do something like that, to get your feet wet as a performer even and learn how to do it on that side of it, so you can help teach it. I'm struggling with that myself. I'm not sure how it's all going to play out and how we're all going to do it. I know I have a lot to learn and a lot to do yet before I can even think about putting a virtual performance together with my own students. So I don't know, but we're all going to need each other now.
And I think that what we're doing right now is a virtual reading session. We can't do what we normally do, so we have to try to think differently and approach it differently. I found this to be fun, and you don't know what things are going to be like at the beginning, right? Is anybody going to ask any questions? Are we going to have any engagement? As this unfolded, we're getting some great questions, some great commentary. I think next time, with your suggestions in the future, what can we do differently? We'll come up with an even more interesting way of doing it. But this could be a great example for what you can do with students. Pick a piece of music, talk about some of the analytical parts or performance aspects, and sharing it with students this way and having them share their observations in a new and creative way. There's no substitute for being face-to-face, but there are ways that we can use some of what we're doing now in this emergency type of situation well beyond when we're back to the normal day-to-day interaction with students. So these creative ideas come from very creative people like all the people that are sitting here, and teachers kind of rallying to that. So, and I see it with my own kids. My own kids are in school and seeing their teachers, both music teachers and their academic teachers, trying to figure it out. So as long as everybody is like comfortable and supportive to let teachers figure it out too, because no one's perfect. We're going to get some things right, we're going to get some things wrong, and then we're going to kind of come up with a new and better way of doing things. So just like Mike said, think out of the box, keep your students involved in some way, and just keep letting them know that you care about them. Just checking some messages.
Yeah, some great suggestions over here in the chat. Yeah.
You know, I'm in one of the questions. I've been reading the trombone lines by enlarging the screen. My wife actually mentioned, you know, you could actually have a virtual reading session where people look at the score on the screen and play at home, even if it's on mute. So I don't know, maybe that could work. That could be another fun way of doing things. All right, I think we have to go. We have to wrap it up. Mike, why don't you give us the wrap up?
Yeah, so the links to all of the information that happened that was shared with you today is going to appear in your chat. So you're going to get the jazz band and band promo, a link to the PDF packet with all of this information in it. There's also going to be a link for a certificate of attendance, and also a link to the survey about this session and how you felt it went and what you'd like to see from Alfred coming up in the future. All of this information that's going to be the links that Michaela is sharing with you in the chat are also going to show up in your email next week with a replay video link to replay this video as well. So that'll be happening, coming to you. So we appreciate you being here for this session. We hope you got something out of it, and we're looking forward to your suggestions so that we can make future sessions like this more meaningful for you as the teachers and as our educators.
Thank you guys very much for joining us. Have a great rest of your day.
All right, take care, everybody. Thank you.